Before we get any further, today's video contains spoilers for episode 14 of The Bad Batch Season 3. If you haven't had the chance to watch it yet, we recommend heading over to Disney Plus and doing so before starting the video. But if you're all caught up or just don't care, let's dive right in.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Welcome back to another week of The Bad Batch. Generally, we've always tried to keep up with videos when new episodes drop, but some of you might have noticed we haven't done an episode on The Bad Batch in a few weeks. Unfortunately, this has been because, for the most part, these most recent episodes have been so cut and dry. There wasn't much to talk about without insulting our viewers' intelligence or media comprehension. The truth is, while the most recent episodes have been fun and packed full of action, they've been so straightforward that they lack all subtext. Add to that the incredibly slow pace we've been keeping to, and it raises many concerns for next week's season finale. In today's video, we'll be talking about this season's pacing issues, as well as the questions we fear we'll never have answered. Now, don't get us wrong, this season of The Bad Batch has been a good season. Unlike last season's treasure hunts and rampant filler, this one has been pretty stuck to the plot, which we're here for. However, it's done at a pace that's honestly bizarre. For those of you not aware, next week is the season and series finale. Next week's single 20-minute episode is all they have left to wrap up the plot and fill in any plot holes they've left open, and while we were optimistic earlier in the season, at the penultimate hour, we're having doubts. These last few episodes have moved at a leisurely pace, as if the writers had another half season to finish the story. We even had an entire episode of Ventress testing Omega for force sensitivity, which again was a great episode, but it only slowed things down in the grand scheme of things. Which is the problem, really. Normally, we complain that the plot is too rushed, that things just magically fall into place and Chekhov's guns just get handed out left and right. In that sense, this season has been a breath of fresh air. Most of our information has been shown on screen through story building and not through infodumps. Characters had to work for the information they got and met multiple dead ends and twists in the journey. If we had more episodes ahead of us, this pacing would have been ideal. However, with only one episode left, we're concerned the ending will feel incredibly rushed compared to the long, detailed build-up. Worse still, with only 20 minutes of runtime left for the series, the possibilities of dozens of unanswered questions lingering is looking ever more likely. If you've been keeping score with us, there are plenty of things we've been wondering about, and now it looks like we may never find out. The most obvious question is, of course, about Omega. From the moment she made her first appearance, fans have been wondering about her gender and how everyone is accepting her as a female clone without question. With the introduction of Emery, things only got murkier as it became apparent Omega isn't a one-off. However, 3 seasons in, it's become fairly obvious that Disney isn't going to answer this question. Omega and Emery's genders are canonically accepted as female, and in universe, this isn't odd in the slightest to a wide variety of characters. Even though Disney isn't going to clarify, we believe this can only mean one thing. Omega and Emery are clones, just not of Jango Fett. Perhaps they were cloned before Jango was selected as the genetic prototype for the clone army, or were successful outcomes in the initial experiments. This would make sense, as they seem to be older than all the clones that served in the Clone Wars. It would also explain why they see each other as sisters and all the clones as their brothers. It's not in the same sense as the clone troopers, who are genetically identical, but in the sense that they are all clones, born on the same world through the same process. Of course, this is just a guess, but it's likely the most we're going to get at this point. If Disney had wanted us to know, we would have known a long time ago. The next question we're probably never going to have answered is the identity of the Shadow Trooper that's been a recurring character this season. Earlier on, we predicted they were actually a brainwashed tech. Many fans disagreed and thought he was Cody, whom we haven't seen since early on in Season 2. For some time, it seemed Disney was setting us up for a reveal, and perhaps we might still get one in the finale, but with Omega recaptured on Pabu, his arc seems to have ended. It's likely we'll never truly find out his identity or more about the other Shadow Troopers. In a similar vein, we might never get confirmation of Tech's death. For once, we're okay with that. As much as we love Tech, actually having a canonical death that wasn't waved away somehow is a breath of fresh air, and we hope he stays dead. In that case, this isn't so much an unanswered question as it is us holding our breath while Disney moves on. Until the end of the series, we'll be waiting for the somehow Tech returned meme, but if it doesn't happen, we'll be happy to accept that as our answer, that he did truly die. Next up is the question of the Zillo Beast. It was a lovely little thing to see in this episode, and unlike the other questions we've mentioned, we think this one will get answered. The researchers at Tantis were clearly experimenting on it, though energy weapons should have fed it instead of hurt it, which is an entirely different question. We may never know for sure what they were hoping to achieve or what its fate will be after the series ends. Our prediction is that Omega will use it in her escape plan, but again, there's a chance that doesn't happen and the Zillo Beast is forgotten again. Those are the questions we have to think may never be answered, but at the end of the day, is that really such a terrible thing? Longtime fans will know that if there's something we've disliked about recent Star Wars releases, it's the overarching tendency to over-explain. Rather than showing the viewers something and letting them come to their own conclusion, Disney has force-fed us answers for years, making content easier to digest and smoother. That's why, for the entirety of this season, we've been praising the Bad Batch for showing, not telling. Especially in the first few episodes on Tantis, we were allowed to draw our own conclusions without the information being spoon-fed to us, as if we were all smooth-brained numpties with zero media comprehension skills. So, if any series was going to leave us with questions, it's not surprising that it's the Bad Batch. And, in a way, it's not a bad thing. In a franchise famous for over-explaining, it's refreshing to be left wondering. These questions don't need to be answered for the Bad Batch's plot to wrap up smoothly. We don't need to know why Omega is female, or who the Shadow Trooper really was for the finale to have an impact. We don't need to know if Tech is really dead. Sometimes, life is just like that, full of unanswered questions, and we all just need to learn to live with them and go about our lives. Why should our media be any different? At the end of the day, let the Bad Batch keep their secrets. After all, in a galaxy as vast as this, it's good to keep the mystery alive. But what do you think? Are you also worried the series ending will be rushed? Are there any other questions you have that you think Disney will leave unanswered? Feel free to let us know in the comments section below, and join us next week for the final episode in that has to be one of the best Star Wars series of recent years.